Welcome to BeingLoveTV's Souls Talking Brain show. I'm Ronnie Lipstein, and
I am Aline Ohanessian. And let's get down to it. We've got an amazing, wonderful guest this evening on our show. One that I'd have to say is kind of changes your thinking patterns. Perhaps allows you to think a little bit better. Perhaps.
So why don't we introduce who it is that we have as our very special guest on today's show before we bring them over.
I'll call them over.
Being Love TV presents Dianne Collins. Dianne Collins is an original thinker and media personality, author of the 6-time award-winning bestseller Do You QuantumThink, which, by the way, is what we shall be discussing today. New thinking that will rock your world, considered a must-read book for our changing times, which I must stand behind and say I highly recommend. Dianne, not that I must, but having had the pleasure of reading, I must. Dianne's life is dedicated to people living spirited, joyful, and masterful lives through leaps in awareness and learning what she calls the physics of mind. Dianne created the QuantumThink system of thinking, 21 principles that connect us to living our full potential, from inner serenity to harmonious relationships, business results, and global affairs. In Do You QuantumThink, Dianne puts it all together, integrating science, philosophy, and spirituality, and drawing on sources from cutting-edge scientific innovations to the wisdom of the world's greatest spiritual leaders, made practical in daily life. And I can attest to the fact that all that I have just read is very true, and to be able to delve into the book oneself, a sheer gift, but to be able to have the author herself here on our show, an absolute blessing.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's quite exciting. Quietingly excitingly. I know.
So without further ado, as we have an hour before us, why don't we give Dianne a call so that we can get to quantum thinking.
Quantum thinking.
All righty then. I'm so excited. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. All right, so you're going to hear us calling. Phone ringing. Yay!
Hello, this is Dianne.
Hello, Dianne.
Hello, Ronnie and Aline, and everyone with us now and in the future.
Absolutely.
It's so wonderful to be with you.
As it is for us to have you with us. Thank you so very much for taking your time and energy to share yourself and your book, Do You QuantumThink, with us and the principles contained therein. It's definitely one thing that I can say after having had the opportunity to peruse through the book, a very complete presentation of the shifting consciousness that we're experiencing right now, and really provides a very clear, concise direction through which people can traverse this, albeit very subtle, huge shift in consciousness that we are looking to incorporate into our daily lives. So there's a lot.
It's quite.
Let me say something about that, because first of all, let's do a sound check. Is my sound okay?
Your sound is perfect.
Okay, good. You know, and I have to say something about what you were just saying, but
Absolutely.
first I had to have a sound check. Now I need to tell you that one of the reasons that I'm so excited to be with you is because girls just want to have fun. Is that you have fun while elevating consciousness, while awakening consciousness. And I really, really appreciate that. And so, you know, let's not scare anybody off about Do You QuantumThink, the book, because I wrote it to be a little bit cheeky and playful and certainly entertaining. So
and it
I
was
wanted to say
all
that
of those
first.
It was all of those things. All of
Thank
those things.
you.
It was
Because people look at it and they go, what? How many pages? Oh no! You know, but I call it a friend for life. It's something like a companion to your own awareness. It actually is just an activation of your own awareness, but in very specific ways, as you know. But what
Absolutely.
I wanted to just address what you just said, because so many of us who have, as I say, been born, you know, a metaphysician, been born into questioning, and I think all of us do in some way. I don't see how you could be born a human being and not be questioning, you know, the big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose? Why is there creation rather than nothing? And, you know, what am I supposed to be doing here? And what I like the question. And if I'm supposed to be doing something, let me become masterful at it. But let's just say we've all been on a path of some conscious awakening, whether you've been your whole life or whether it's new to you, but certainly the people who are viewing your show are engaged, let's say. And so for me, not engaged to be married.
I was just going to say that.
No, engaged mindfully,
They're engaged
consciously.
with us right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Engaged
Consciously.
in this exploration.
Yes, absolutely.
And so for me, it really is about, okay, it's time to start living it. Okay, studying it, knowing it, investigating it, being titillated by, you know, having these wonderful, profound conversations about quantum science and spiritual wisdom and how do we apply these things and what's going on in the world. I am all in for that. But my quest, and I think, but I know my mission is to have us go from merely, and I do mean merely, knowing it to actually embodying it.
Well, that's very much akin to something that Aline and I oftentimes discuss, which is to be in a position of awareness is a major leap. So when you're saying the merely, to me that connotes the dawning awareness. So there's a lot of people who are walking around, as is common to hear now, asleep to these truths, and then they come into the awareness, which in and of itself is a huge step to be able to actually be aware of these concepts, be aware of this reality, but it is an even bigger step, and again, a very subtle one, and yet a very huge one, to take that awareness and put it into action, and not just put it into action momentarily, but moment to moment. So definitely do resonate with what you just said.
And go ahead.
No.
I was hearing myself echo. Are you hearing that echo?
Well, that's a good echo.
Wait, you're double goddess and I'm double Diane.
There you go.
I was hearing an echo and I thought it was you talking. But yes, very well said, moment to moment. It really and truly is, as a way of being. And I think you're making a really important point about that, just coming into the awareness of the expanded worldview, as I call it, the emerging new worldview, that in itself, it's such a blessing. It's a sacred. It's a quantum leap. It's however you want to put language around it.
Yeah.
And that awareness is not enough. Now, in terms of people, sleepwalking, which we all have moments of, I hate to admit, but I will. Let's face it, that's what we're doing here is awakening. And, that's really the great news is that we can. Is that I like to think of it this way, that we're here evolving and we're in an era, E-R-A, a time of, often referred to in past years as the Great Shift, this momentous time of awakening, of transformation for humanity, when what is evolving now is human consciousness itself. And so I like to think of it this way, to maintain and to actually hold in our resonant field this idea of unity is, I say it like this: we're all awakening. Some of us are awakening and know we're awakening, and others of us are awakening and haven't realized yet.
Yeah, well, I think
that we're awakening.
That's one of the.
But we're all here awakening,
yeah,
regardless of how it looks on the surface. When you turn on the news or the internet and you're reading the headlines and you're seeing this, whatever that is, that way of that separation between a conceptual knowing of the wisdom, of the great universal wisdom of compassion, love, kindness, kind-heartedness, joy from from your heart and soul for no reason, and all that universal wisdom which people who read their own chosen scriptures or philosophical texts that we all aspire to, yet we see this big discrepancy. So that was really my quest, is to figure out,
Absolutely.
Like, wait a minute, there must be some access to going, and a reason. There must be a reason and an access to going beyond knowing it conceptually, which separates us from being it, as you said, moment to moment, and actually having that occur.
Yeah.
And
so
that's what the purpose of my work is.
Yes, absolutely. As it is, as you were saying, there are many who are awakening, who are very much aware, and what we can call the pioneers, if you would like, of this shifting consciousness. And then sort of like the 100th monkey effect, when enough of us have awakened, and there's a plethora of this consciousness that is perpetuating through the social dynamics of humanity, it will become something that there will be many who will, as you mentioned, will be awakened and completely oblivious to the fact that they've awakened, because it will be their everyday living.
Exactly.
The same way that
the
same way that terms like consciousness, for example, are everyday terminology today, but 10 years ago was not quite as easily accepted. So if we can get actually into your book, because there's so much wonderfulness in there, I wanted to ask, you had mentioned in the book there's been many commentaries regarding the multiple dimensions by which we exist. There's been people who 11 dimensions has been very, very popular. 12 dimensions, 13. You mentioned 7 dimensions of perceptual reality in your book. And I was wondering if you might be able to quickly take us through that and how we might be, as you mentioned, unified or practicing a unity consciousness throughout these dimensions to assist us with this shift in consciousness.
Okay, great. I'd love to.
Great, thank you.
I do want to. You're not hearing that echo, huh? Okay.
Thank goodness.
Oh,
Is
yes.
anyone in the chat room? Maybe they could tell me. I don't. But
It's
anyway, okay,
actually,
double Dianne. But I would like to give the premise of QuantumThink and what I call my great revelation, because that provides the proper context
Perfect.
for what I call living FD, living fully dimensionally, not 3D, 5D, FD, fully dimensionally. Okay, so let me just say what I discovered. Well, as I say, as I was growing up, I won't tell the whole story, but along the way, you come across, as you think, so you become.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question, and of course, this is said by every mastery tradition in the Bible, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, in the Buddha, all that we are as a result of of what we have thought, the Upanishads,
Yes.
Okay, so you got it. So, and of course, in the people along the way who are considered, the original teachers of this mind science. So I looked at this and I thought, well, as you think, so you become. Thought creates reality. Well, how does it do that? And if all you had to do was change your thought to change your life, to change the world, well, then why does it still look the way it does?
Right?
Right? So that was the beginning of my quest. And what I came across is I made the discovery, and it had a lot to do, sparked by my meeting Dr. Fred Alan Wolf. Do you know him? Or
yes,
know who he is?
Wonderful, wonderful. He's so entertaining. And again, very much akin to the way that we are, extremely entertaining and yet delivering such enormously important content. So absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One of the great thinkers, and by the way, a good friend, and I call him my mentor in quantum physics. And he wrote the foreword to Do You Quantum Think, my book. So, I love Fred. Anyway, so we were having a conversation many years ago, and he showed me that science makes a discovery, and when they do, they invent new language.
Yeah.
For example, that I use in the book, quantum leap, that a scientist, Max Planck, I think, the father of quantum physics, he made the discovery that energy doesn't move in a smooth, continuous flow, but that it bursts in leaps, in packets of energy that he named quanta, hence the term quantum. So quantum actually means an amount. It means, the smallest measurable unit of energy.
To date.
So now the idea of a quantum leap,
actually, there's now.
It came into the English language in my research around 1927. So I say, you couldn't even think of a quantum leap before that, let alone have one. Of course, we're too young for that. That's my joke. So,
well, now they have quarks, so we're all a little quirky.
Hello?
Hello?
That language comes into our thinking and then into our lives, so that now every day we use quantum leap as colloquial every day. We know what it means, or we mean it as something discontinuous from what has been. A sharp, no trace,
a shift.
A shift in state.
Yes.
That's really what it is.
Okay.
So when we were talking about this, then I was thinking about it afterwards, and I thought, wait a minute. It's not one term. It's the whole system. Because I realized, and I was aware that we had this great paradigm shift in science at the beginning of the 20th century with Einstein and the quantum physicists that followed him, where the earlier, what I lovingly call the old world view, which gave rise to the industrial age, the beginning of rational science in the 17th century, they had what we call, what's a worldview? Very simple. What we believe to be true about the nature of reality and how it works, our ideas, assumptions around that.
Okay.
So that was one worldview that they said, oh, the universe is like a giant machine. It's made up of solid, parts. Push on this and pull on that to get something to move. Now, QuantumThink is a system of thinking. It's not about science. It's about how we can use the discoveries of science to have this quantum leap in our consciousness now by distinguishing our patterns of thinking that were shaped by the old world view. We know these terminologies. What was the nature of that? Linear, step by step, analytical, rational, trying to find, why did I do that? It was my mother told me when I was 2 years old, you never make it, and that is useful still, not what I just said, but analytical thinking, linear thinking, looking at things step by step, the how-tos to higher consciousness, it doesn't work that way. But in some areas of life, obviously, it is extremely valuable, and a lot of genius came out of that worldview. And now we're at a different time. We have way more expanded knowledge. Now we realize, and why I think everybody is so excited about, quote, the quantum, reality, is because quantum science is now once again converging with spiritual wisdom. We'll get to the dimensions by way of this conversation, because they were never actually separate, but they were distinguished out, and then it got separated.
Right.
Because the old worldview scientists made the declaration, only physical matter is real. Hence, in our society, for the most part, the collective society is oriented around the ordinary 5 senses of perception.
Which
so
would
when
be,
we're in school,
which would be the first dimension of the 7 that you mentioned, yes? The physical dimension.
Okay, but let's look at how that shaped the way we are. So now, what was the big paradigm shift? The scientists now, they said, I was going to say, the beauty of it is they're now proving scientifically what the wisdom masters have said, that it is a multi-dimensional reality, that it is holistic and holographic.
Right.
Everything impacts everything else. The whole is contained in every smaller aspect of itself.
It is a major commentary on society as a whole that, we've been presented this wisdom from thousands upon thousands of years, thousands, not hundreds, of years, from our sages and mystics and so on and thousands, doll. And now today, part of our consciousness shift is the amalgamation of the ancient wisdom with scientific discoveries that are now providing the, if you want to say, foundational proof that so many people, because we have been taught to be so completely ensconced within the physical dimension, it's almost as though we needed that physicality in order to allow us to even be open to the concept of dimensions beyond the physical.
Well, that is a very interesting way of putting it. And, that we needed it, obviously, that was a stage, because I look at it as we needed it in other ways too. We needed to pay attention to the physical to, let's say, move from an agrarian or a somewhat chaotic, right?
Yes, absolutely.
To go to another stage of civilization where the disciplines, of the sciences came from it, and so many amazing things. But now, what we're seeing now is that what I think is flipping people out a little bit is that we have to see from the larger perspective. So
Of
just
course.
to finish on the point, that we're now in this quantum worldview where the scientists are saying, oh no, the universe is not like a giant machine, it's more like a giant mind.
Right.
It's mind is the substratum of all reality.
Right.
Everything is created from mind. Now,
and we can
how does thinking?
We can also give the synonym to mind as consciousness, because a lot of people tend to associate mind with the physicality. So if we want to get into that unified view that you were speaking to, consciousness in today's language, this is all we're speaking to with respect to what I'm saying. In today's language, consciousness has been given the acknowledgement of being that which is beyond even the physical. So we could say mind is equal to consciousness. Yes?
I would say this is how I think of it. And just to make it, that's true. And I'll make it a little more precise, and I'm glad you brought that up. That what I mean when I use the word mind is what we hold in awareness. So it is consciousness. So we could think that simultaneously, and one of the characteristics of a quantum worldview, it's a both-and world. So at the same time, we are that what you're talking about, that unbounded,
correct, free,
unlimited, infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence, infinite energy, informed by intelligence, awakened consciousness, the source of all, right? The all that is. We're simultaneously that, and at the same time, what we call our own mind is the individualized form of that consciousness. So it's one and the same.
Correct.
Whereas, one of my great teachers, he said, if you have a balloon, and when you pop the balloon, the air inside the balloon is the same as the air outside of the balloon.
Yeah.
And that's like a graphic way of thinking about what you're saying. But yes, when I talk about mind, I'm not talking about the left brain, cognitive click, click, click mentation. I'm talking about what we hold in consciousness, and what we hold in consciousness is everything. It is yearnings of the soul, feelings of the heart. It's thinking. It's all of it. So this is when we're in very glad you brought that up. So I forgot where I was in the conversation.
And there you go, lost in a maze of consciousness.
This idea, okay, but I like to think of it this way, just so that I have a little fun with it, right? So thinking becomes very important, because I say it like this also, the paradox. Your mind is your life, and you are not your mind. Your mind is your life because whatever you're holding in your awareness, in your consciousness, in any given moment, right now, in this moment, is your reality.
Right.
And you are not your mind, because you are that awareness, that unbounded awareness, that is the watcher, aware of what you're holding in consciousness.
Right.
So your mind is your life, and you are not your mind. So one of the main activities of mind is thinking. And therefore, it becomes very, very important for us to become masterful. So I was going to say this, that you think of it this way. We're brought up, and unbeknownst, it's not personal, it's a cultural level of evolution, right? That old world industrial age is also known as scientific materialism, right? Material of science. And it's also literally called the classical mechanical worldview. Mechanical gave rise to machine. Mechanical, cause and effect is the dynamic of it, and all the rest that goes with that. So when you look at that, and you realize that, for example, in conventional education, we don't study what I call the 5 natural faculties of mind: intent, intuition, subtle energy, resonance, and meditation. We study the matter, the brain.
Right.
We maybe study this, made up psychology. Excuse me for saying it, but it is made up. But, it could be anything everything is made up. If it's helpful, fine. But if not, drop it. But, it's like, okay, so look at this. We're brought up in a culture that never acknowledged mind in the way that you and the 3 of us are talking about it, and everyone in the conversation with us right now. Yet, we know that mind is the generator of reality. So therein lies the rub, right? There's our dilemma.
Let's take a moment right there, if you don't mind. We're just going to, so that we can, I love what you just said, and we're going to leave that with our viewers to ponder upon for just a moment as we take a very, very quick little commercial break, and we will be right back. And when we do come back, if we can actually go into the 21 distinctions, and perhaps we can pull on 1 or 2.
One or two?
Yeah,
well, because we don't have that much time.
We never did them yet.
Yes. So the 7 dimensions, and then if we can maybe get 1 or 2 of the one that you might think is the most assisting to people to shift, that would be amazing. So we will be right back, sweet, beautiful angels. Thank you so much for being here with us in 2 seconds. Share the love.
Share the love.
Share the
love.
Share the love. So, around your video, either to the right or to the left or below or above, depending on what browser you are utilizing, there are buttons through which you may share this video with all the members in your community so that you can assist, uplift, empower, and enlighten all that you feel, all those that you feel love for, as that's what this is all about. We're doing our best to extend the love, the awareness, the consciousness, and the shift out of fear and into love. So share, and we look forward to the rest of our wonderful show here today with Dianne Collins, author of Do You Quantum Think? And before we took the break, we were talking about...
Landed on a really good point.
We were talking about the mind, consciousness, and this shift from what Dianne calls old world thinking to our quantum thinking. And part of that encompasses 7 dimensions of perceptual reality that Dianne was about to get into. So shall we get back into that? Dianne, are you with us? Okay, great.
We shall. Here we go. And, just wanted to say, to end that point I was saying, that this is why the unofficial, I should make it the official mantra of QuantumThink, is when you master your mind, you master your life and your world, because it's a mind-based reality. So now, this is the purpose, and that we can do it as a whole system. It's not like, monitoring one thought at a time, help. No, it's that when you make this leap in consciousness, from you literally shift systems. So it's a universe of systems, and thinking is a system. So when you go into the road system, you are making your choices but the road is the system is embracing you. It's making it easy for you. That's what QuantumThink is. It's a system of 21 principles and practices for the mind and awareness that put this all together.
Right.
So that we master these 5 natural faculties of mind we never learned in school. Okay, that's enough on that. But I just wanted to say, because people say, well, what is QuantumThink? They ask me all the time. So here's what is going on. Like one of the leaps is from either or mechanism,
Right.
thought mechanism, to the both and mechanism. And both, what does it mean? We have been conditioned by the old worldview. This is not something that it's not like we're willfully doing it. It's just a part of the culture, the system, right, that we're in that vortex until you make these distinctions. So, for example, spiritual, material. And, people really have this, there are so many courses on people getting over, any kind of obstacles or stops that they have, let's say, with their relationship with money. That most of us do not have a consciously generated relationship with money because we're brought in this culture. Oh, you think it's not spiritual or it's not virtual, to want material things. And of course, nothing could be further than the truth. So this is the idea of what I call living fully dimensionally. It's actually the last chapter in the book, and it's where I take ourselves through money through the different dimensions, which I'm not going to do now, but let me just say what they are because you asked it. So just as I'm saying these for everyone, is to realize that every aspect of life has existence, participates in every single one of these dimensions that we can distinguish, and it's simultaneously, they're all connected. Okay, so the physical dimension of ordinary matter in the physical body, what we think of as, that very slow moving, dense matter that we call ordinary reality, the physical. That's the world we live in.
Who calls it the ordinary reality? I'm curious.
I'm calling it. Well, what I mean by ordinary reality is, you wake up, you're in a house, you're sitting somewhere, you're wearing clothes, that kind of thing. You're eating food. That's what I mean. Okay, but there's nothing ordinary about any of it. So thanks. Thanks for waking me up on that point. That's true. There's nothing ordinary. Everything about this existence, this creation, this life is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, it's like so awesome, we can't even imagine how awesome, right?
No, but it makes sense. You have to explain that to be able to understand.
But I'm just saying it, like the everyday physical dimension. The second dimension, the energetic dimension of subtle fields, subtle energy that comprise and emanate from all form. Okay, so the physical reality is form. The energetic is the energy, the subtle energy that comprises that form and emanates from it. And
so it's like a force.
It's the foundation
it's like
of
a force,
it allows it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Like the building.
The third dimension that we're distinguishing. By the way, this is not the truth. All distinctions are created to give us access to something that has us have a happier, more fulfilling life. So that's what this is. I'm not putting this out. I'm just saying if we think of things this way, it can be very beneficial and helpful. Right. The third dimension is the virtual dimension of mind and all extensions of mind and awareness, so including the internet. Is, what all of our technologies are an extension of mind. And I think
the media, perhaps, yeah.
Okay, so you got it, the virtual dimension.
Like right here, right now.
Right here, right now. We are connecting virtually.
Exactly.
We're connecting in all these different ways because there is a certain physicality to it, even though we're not physically in the same room.
Correct.
Right, but this is our virtual room. Absolutely. Good. I love it. The fourth dimension is the spiritual dimension of heart. Now, this dimension of heart, of spirit, where we we know, we have that inner knowing, the experiential knowing of the interconnectedness of all of us and of all that is. That's the spiritual dimension. It's much more, of course, but we're just giving a
briefly,
distinction.
Yeah.
Okay,
Of course.
The fifth, the cosmic dimension. Now, this is something we may not always think about, but it's very, very obviously important. The cosmic dimension of natural law, operating principles functioning throughout the universe and therefore within you and me. We're part of that natural law.
Of course.
And this is what we call, universal law. That could be spiritual too, but divine law. But the cosmic dimension, these principles of mind that are discoverable are part of the cosmic dimension. So let's get related to that. The sixth dimension is what I call the esoteric dimension. I was listening to one of your shows, and I heard you, I think it was, who was saying it, Ronnie, I think, that you were talking about, you looked up the Greek etymology of that word, which I found very interesting. Okay, so the esoteric, you remember what I'm talking about? Maybe it was a few years ago.
It's very possible.
Oh, you don't remember. Oh, you did? That's funny. Okay, so the esoteric dimension of soul, because that's what it meant. It meant from within.
Yeah.
You were giving that eso meaning from within, where exo is, the outer world. So the esoteric dimension of soul, evolution, prophecy, anything to do with, okay, if you believe this way, we incarnate, we take form.
Right.
But this incarnation has some destinal resolve to it. And that is what I mean by of soul, S-O-U-L. That's the sixth dimension.
Okay.
And that has to do with purpose, with worldly purpose, because these yearnings that we have from the soul, where we go, oh, I want to live my passion. Well, that's soul and heart,
right,
spiritual and esoteric. But
it's the separation. It's the separation from, or more the dual. It's the dual. It's the separation from the divine, the soul, which is the not the person. It's not individual, but it is more the separation. I find.
What is
more I don't know if it's a separation.
So I don't. Yeah, maybe that's
You're
not
saying
the right.
The individuated
Right,
personal legend.
it's individuated.
Yeah, maybe that's
correct.
If
you look at this, divine says, okay, I'm one, I'm bored. Let me differentiate, right?
Yes.
And then we go, okay, let me make a bunch of souls. Okay, the souls are each going to have their own destiny.
Yeah, so that's what you were talking about.
Which is forever.
Exactly.
That's what you mean by separation.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. I think that Aline was referring to what we call your personal legend, or the reason why each individual comes, which is unique to the individual.
What is unique to you?
On the soul level, we each hear our own voice that propels us forward to follow whatever our own personal passion is. Which is, again, it's one reflection of the infinity that we are.
Perhaps it's the uniqueness.
Within.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the unique,
but
individual uniqueness. Perhaps. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And, it's so important, especially right now, in a transitional time for humanity, because we are the ones, the paradox is a new worldview is emerging, and we are the ones bringing it about. So it's around us, but all of a sudden, when things, when the systems and structures of our society have been in, that are born from the old worldview thinking, whatever is no longer effective now in the way that we all want to go forward in a more awakened, higher frequency, however you want to talk about it, world, that what happens is it causes us to pause and step back and look and say, what do I really want now? What's really important to me? And this is where it becomes so important to become attuned with these faculties of mind, with that meditative state, which I consider a faculty of mind, not just a practice, an important practice, many forms of meditation, all important, but that when we're in that meditative state,
Absolutely.
and we want to create, right? And with the dynamic of creation as intent. Now, when you want to create from intent, and people go, well, I created with intent, didn't work. Because if you're creating it in a static on the radio of your being, because you're not in that, what we call, being centered or being in the still point or in that highly aware state.
Okay.
When you're in that state, you are connected, clear channel connection,
right,
to divine source. And that is the seventh dimension.
Right.
Divine dimension, that ultimate mystery that encompasses and is responsible for all creation,
everything,
the dimension
and
that transcends dimensionality,
Yes.
right,
forever the ultimate mystery. But that is source. So we're, when we say we got a message from Spirit, a tapped on the shoulder, I want to live my passion, or what is my purpose? Oh, I know what my purpose is. It's like, where thought creates, well, how is it doing that? Because we are part and parcel of that divine source. Now, the clearer that our connection is, why conscious conversations like these are very, I would say, not just important, vital.
Vital.
It's quite vital.
Absolutely.
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 It's life, right?
Yeah.
Because the clearer we are, the more we elevate our state.
Right.
Yes.
The vibrational frequency of our own, having 50 to 100 trillion cells.
It's about
the vibration of the cells, dependent upon our state of consciousness, can be elevated, which allows us to both.
You want to maintain
has
all of those.
a clearer line of communication between the multiple dimensions of existence, as well as allowing, therefore, for more information to both be received as well as sent forth, hence assisting within the manifestation thereof regarding our desires.
And also combining, not only combining, but unifying, if not perhaps completing or maybe infiniting the 7 dimensions and bringing it all together to one. Is you're thinking with all of those 7 dimensions, with the divine, which is everything.
Right, and then to be able to raise your frequency,
you
to have your
all,
to have a
then it
unified
becomes one.
state of your own beingness resonating at a higher level of frequency. Therefore, the higher it is, the easier, quicker that the information can both come through you as well as for you to go out, which then has effects on what is physically manifest, which is the absolute last level.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
it. That's right. Because it comes back to the physical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So it's like the divine, right? Here's the divine says, okay, here's a bunch of souls. Go out and do your thing, right?
Yep.
Over lifetimes. And then the soul comes down, and then all of a sudden you become this form, and you experience spirit, and you learn how to use the virtual aspect of yourself and using mind as a creative force, dynamic, and then it all comes back to the physical. But what you're saying, but the important thing, and what I think this part of our conversation is, to be able to master living in the refined frequencies.
Right.
Yes.
Because we are here for that now.
Yep.
Right.
Right?
Okay, so we're coming closer towards the end of the show, and I would really love it if we can actually move into something, if you can give something to our viewers with respect to what we're saying, so resonating into that frequency that is of greater ease and ability, and being able to manifest and physicalize this consciousness level. You have 21 distinctions that you mentioned, or principles by which we can live. If you have to choose the most important those, or the one that you feel is going to give the biggest push forward. What?
I would be happy to say this. And I call this the core distinction of QuantumThink. It's also the core distinction of quantum physics, okay, which they call the observer effect. But one of the things you realize when you extend beyond, I'm not just living in a physical dimension, but I'm living in this is called observer created reality. What does it mean? Well, look at from a physical dimension, we look separate from one another from what we call the external reality around us, right? I mean, I wrote a blog on this just the other day, but anyway, that no one's talking about the source of the racial divide. But I don't know if we have time because I wrote these 2 blogs. It's such an amazing thing, but I'll tell you that if we have a minute at the end. But here's how it goes. So we're looking outside, and so we think, well, the old worldview dynamic, I say it like this for young minds, old worldview circumstance rules, that would be circumstances of what appears to be existing out there or even in your own mind. Thoughts can be circumstances. And new worldview intent rules, because from a quantum worldview, we exist in fields. We know that. We're talking about that. So what is the observer effect? It means that there's no separation between you and what you are holding in observation. Now, observation in this sense is not just visual seeing, perceptual seeing.
Okay, perfect.
Again, it means what you hold in awareness.
Okay.
Now, the subtitle, or the ancient wisdom said it like this: the world exists on the screen of your own consciousness. There is no world outside of your consciousness.
I like that.
Okay.
The observer and the observed are one. That's how it's said in Vedantic literature.
Okay.
But let's look at it practical, because that's what I like to do, is put this all together and make it practical in everyday life. So we're looking at observer created reality. How can that alter our world? Well, when you realize that you exist in fields and there's a continuous exchange in this energy intelligent field between you and another.
Right.
So let's say, and the subtitle of it's the second distinction, but it's the core distinction, is what you bring is what you get. The idea comes from science, where when they try to measure a particle of energy, let's say under a microscope, the instrument of observation was affecting what they were trying to measure, so they could never get an exact measurement.
Right.
It's called the uncertainty principle. So again, QuantumThink is not about science. It's about how do we adapt that onto human thinking. Well, what is the instrument of observation for human beings? What we hold in awareness, our meaning, our assumptions, our conclusions, our ideas, our beliefs about, let's just say, another person, okay? Because I want to give a real example.
Yeah, okay.
So let's say the old worldview, they thought that objects were solid and fixed, push or pull to get something to happen. And what we know now is the nature of reality is its energy in flux. There's nothing solid and fixed about it. That's the good news for us.
Right.
Because we, as the focal points, human awareness, consciousness as the focal point, what we hold in consciousness becomes the reality. So if you're going into a meeting, let's say, with a prospective client, right? And you're thinking, and you have these assumptions that you're holding in your own resonant field of your feeling tone of your being, okay? And you're thinking, well, that person is kind of cold. I don't know whether we really connect. You really want this client, but you've got all this going on. Or you say, well, they've been doing business with the other person for the last 5 years. I don't know whether they're going to switch, or I'm not sure if they have it in their budget. So you're now holding this in the field.
Yes.
But especially your judgments about the other person.
Right, which you're sending off. We're sending out.
Now, that is experienced in the field even before you get there physically.
Right.
Because that's the
Between
nature
the air.
of intent, or what we call, when I say we, my husband, Alan Collins, is my partner in everything in life and in business, a master QuantumThink coach. So what we call in our business an unaware intent, because intent, I make a distinction between intent and intention. Intention being the future measurable result, but we work with the dynamic of intent. Intent in the more shamanic sense, intent is the activation of the energy intelligent field. So in a world of infinite possibility, how do you narrow it down? It narrows down to a probability wave field, so that when you create a statement of intent, you're not going to get, it's not a cause and effect dynamic.
Okay.
It's a field effect dynamic. So you will get many results that are consistent with the frequency range of your intent. I'm talking in technical language because I know you both,
get it.
This is
Get
it. So it doesn't have to be technical. I could say it for anyone, but in different language. But let's use this good language because it's more precise.
Yes.
So now, and by the way, I'm not a scientist, but anyone can get this, because this is, but I studied science for many, many years.
Of course.
And I continue to. But it's like, why do people resonate with these conversations? Because these principles, we reside in us, not inside our body. We're connected to this universal wisdom,
right,
to these cosmic principles,
right,
to these universal laws. So when we hear it, it's like,
it resonates. Yes.
Yay! Wow, as you would say.
Yes.
So it's like, okay.
Yes, there's a harmony within. There's
Yes,
a harmony
exactly.
within one's beingness. When we hear things that resonate, when we feel something that resonates with us in a positive manner, one that is promoting homeostasis, we feel the harmony. It feels good to us, and that's
right.
Right.
That's just what I mean by the feeling tone of your being,
right,
which actually that comes from a Seth. But anyway, so now observer created reality. Getting back to observer created reality. So you're going in, and that which you are holding. Okay, that's like the foot on the accelerator and the brake at the same time, because you want this client,
right?
But you have all kinds of judgments about the person. They're not this, they don't like you, or you don't like them. They're too hard to deal with. Whatever you've got, so you catch yourself. This is awakened thinking, awakened awareness.
Okay.
You catch yourself in these assumptions, which are not the truth.
Okay.
Now, a very, 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 very important fundamental aspect of a quantum worldview is there are no absolute realities other than what you think of as source creator.
Which we don't even know what that is even.
No, we don't. We made that up too. But
we did. I love it. Love it.
God made us up. We made up God, and it's a nice exchange. But we're co-creating here. But, we are God. I don't know. Yes, we do. Okay. Now, let's get back to this, because this is really important in everyday life.
Absolutely.
Is that you realize if there is no way that anything is, if there is no out there, as Fred Allen Wolf says, there ain't no out there. There's nothing out there.
Oh, there's no out there.
So what is reality? Reality is context dependent. A statement of intent is a statement of context. It's chosen.
Yeah.
It's a context from which you choose. This is the difference between quantum thinking and positive thinking.
Okay.
Positive thinking, as I say, it's always good to have positive thoughts. Positive thinking is like trying to paste an affirmation over a negative belief.
You're trying to. Okay.
It doesn't. It's like my husband says, putting jelly over peanut butter, taking a bite, pretending the peanut butter isn't there. It doesn't work. So
it tastes good.
Free ourselves. This is part of the quantum leap in consciousness. Free ourselves from any fixed idea, belief, assumption that is not serving you.
Right.
And will not, and others. It's not serving you and others. We're never separate. Okay? It's always, we're always in relationship. So what do? It's very simple. I call it the 1, 2, 3 step.
Okay.
That you look, you go, oh, I have a word for these automatic patterns, which I say came from a mechanical worldview.
Okay.
In many ways, we, at that stage of evolution, became mechanical and automatic too.
Right.
I call it least action pathways, least hyphen action pathways. The way the energy or the thought goes, simply because it's been that route before. Give it no other meaning. It has no meaning. That's why I say blame it on the old worldview. Okay, there's one of those least action pathways. I think this person is hard to deal with. Okay, let me interrupt that thought, which is not going to get me what we both want here.
Right. Okay.
And
So you're not just
yourself,
looking to I want to just elucidate the difference between the intent and the positive thinking here a little bit more for our viewers. So you're not just looking at a negative thought process that you're having and saying, no, I'm going to think positively. You're actually hearing what is being said. You're acknowledging it, and you're acknowledging it for the illusory thought that it is, because you are acknowledging that it's based in fear, which automatically takes you a step beyond simply pasting over a positive affirmation, because you're actually acknowledging, recognizing, and then making a choice consciously to shift that. Is that fair to say with respect to the distinction between the positive thinking and intent?
It's good except for the fear part.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. It doesn't mean anything. Now, just think of it this way. We exist in fields, right?
Okay.
Now, people are often saying, Spirit told me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something came in, or you have an intuition.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you hear a voice, you get a feeling, whatever, however it takes place for you. So where did that come from? It came from the surrounding field.
Right.
I like to call it, okay, so we're also, remember those 7 dimensions. We're in a spirit field, we're in a mind field. Now, I assert that a lot of the thoughts we have are not even ours. They're just visiting.
Oh,
yeah.
I call them visiting.
For sure.
Yes, well, we say that
sure.
we say here that no thought is your own until you choose to own it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would not choose to own that these thoughts are derived from fear. They're not derived from anything. It doesn't matter what they're derived from. That's just, it's not saying anything you're saying is, incorrect.
No, of course.
It's just another perspective.
Right.
It's saying,
Absolutely.
you know what? We don't need the analysis of where it came from.
Right.
All I know is that thought in my feeling tone of my being, is
not resonating.
My resonance, and I don't need that resonance right now.
Right.
So let me that's why I just call it, that's a least action pathway. All of our clients and people who read, they go, that's just a least action pathway. Now, what was my intent? So the first thing is you recognize you're having these least action pathway thoughts.
Okay.
The second thing is you recognize, as you say, you acknowledge it. You're not trying to get rid of it. You can't change it.
Right.
Okay? As Alan would say, the thought gets there before you do.
Right.
Okay, so the thought is already there. You're not going to change a thought, but what do you do with it? You get a new relationship with it. The new relationship with the thoughts that do not serve are, it's a least action pathway. That's the relationship. A least action pathway, give it no other meaning. By the way, giving it meaning is another least action pathway. Least action pathways are neither good nor bad. You can have great least action pathways. It just means that it's an unaware state. When you become aware of your least action pathways, like Alan says, you're the helper. Stop helping people. It's a least action pathway of your personality.
Right.
But if I help people, and it's very, it's an Enneagram, you become conscious of your personality, what I call least action pathways, because then you can choose when you want to be helpful, when somebody wants help, or not. But if you're just doing it automatically, even if it's with the best intentions, it's still a least action pathway.
Right. And I like the distinction. Yeah. I do. I very much like the distinction that you've made with respect to acknowledging that not necessarily all of our automated behaviors or our conditioned responses or the thoughts that we are conditioned to be grasping onto are necessarily fearful. Some of them may be wonderful, but at the same time, if automated, at the end of the day, we are not the ones in the driver's seat. We are not the ones who are living consciously, and therefore whatever actions that we are taking, whatever thoughts that we are choosing to be focusing on, we're not actually choosing. And as you call it, the least action pathway is the one by which we are attempting to shift into one that is of consciousness.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's exactly right. And what I call the myth, I'm glad you highlighted that because that's such an important point. I call the myth of choice. In every moment, as you stated beautifully, we have an opportunity to choose our thought, the context from which we want to live, our state. But to the extent that these automatic patterns are kicking in, we're not actually a choice. People are making decisions, but they're not actually consciously choosing. How do you know? Because if you were at conscious choice, you would not have a disparaging thought about yourself or another.
This
you just
is true.
wouldn't. You wouldn't think.
Yeah.
All the, what I call it, wretched self syndrome, the I'm not good enough, and any variation on that theme. We wouldn't choose that if we were consciously a choice. So getting back, because I have to finish this cycle, it's almost finished, that observer creator reality. Okay, so you recognize the least action pathway, give it no meaning, it's just the least creative, the most mechanical action. Okay, maybe it's not even yours. And then you say, okay, well, what is going to shape this field, this meeting, this relationship with me and my prospective client? My consciously generated intent.
Right.
Intent is the central active dynamic of creation that we've been divinely bestowed with by human birth. So what is a statement of intent? You may say it like this. It's always, as you know, the present tense. You would say, I like to say the omnipresent tense, is you would say that, let's call the person Joseph. Joseph and I are excited about working together, and I am, I'm thrilled with the way we're connecting. Now that's before you even get to the meeting. You're creating an intent.
Right.
Is that we're excited about working together. It's not based in evidence. Old worldview, circumstance rule is based in evidence. New worldview, intent rules. Intent is context. It's not based in anything. It's based in choice, because you are aware that the context that you choose, how to use your own faculties of mind, in this case, the power of intent, is shaping the field.
Right.
And will
it's going
bring
to
about
influence
results consistent with it. And then, of course, the third part of it is allowing. Then you don't have to push or pull on the circumstances. The allowing, which is it's a faculty of mind. It's also the number 5 distinction in the QuantumThink system of 21, is what I call the passive dynamic.
Right.
It is an actual faculty of mind that we're not used to, because the least action pathways of human culture is, okay, we have a situation, what should we do? It's like, it's like we gotta do something about it. We're not in the conscious practice of allowing. Okay.
Well, and with allowing is very much a faculty of trust. And what we're speaking to here is trusting in something that we are not accustomed to, not acclimatized to, which is the unseen, the unknown, and as you're speaking to, the intent that we place into any living, breathing experience that we're having. So, and then in having that trust, are we able to be in a more relaxed state to allow life to just naturally manifest before us, and then us to consciously respond, as opposed to trying to continuously get in the way thereof.
That's exactly beautifully said.
Yeah.
And that allowing because there's what is known in science as the non-local mind field, or that you're actually trusting, to use that word, in the intelligence, the awesome, infinite intelligence of the way that it works.
Right,
when
of the
you
way that
create
everything
your intent,
works.
you're connecting, and that connection is going to bring about results consistent with the frequency range of your intent.
Beautiful. Okay, that was beautiful. Can we put up a picture of Dianne's book? Oh, you're going to put, okay, perfect. We just want to make sure that our viewers are able to write down your website address, your Twitter. Is there anywhere else that you would want those who are seeking to be able to reach out to you, to be able to get to your book or to the other gifts that you have made that you have made available beyond DianneCollins.com and your Twitter Dianne Collins address?
Yes. Let me, there's also a Facebook page,
Okay.
Dianne Collins, QuantumThink. But I wanted to, I can't see your screen. So, you have the DianneCollins.com up there?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
good.
we do.
How much time do we have? Because
we're a little over
actually. We do not
over.
have.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Well, I just wanted to say that I would love to give your viewers a gift, and so it's DianneCollins.com /success-gift.
Okay.
SUCCESS-gift, GIFT. On that page are 3 audios that are part of an audio program that we have, and 1 chapter from my book, The Intuition and Non-Locality, meaning, using intuition as a way of life. And so that you only get if I give it out. But I wanted to say that the other place, so please do take me up on that gift, because I love giving it, to give you an experience of QuantumThink. And by the way, one of the audios is the distinction in audio, observer created reality, which it can literally alter your life for the rest of your life. I'm also a blogger on the Huffington Post.
Okay.
So wonderful. If you go on HuffingtonPost.com,
okay,
the easiest way is to put in this, there's a search on the Huffington Post site.
Yes.
And you can put in my name, Dianne with 2 N's,
Collins with 2 L's.
Collins.
Yeah.
And you'll see the list of all my blogs. The reason I'm very hot on this is because I recently wrote a blog. It's very important to all of us.
Okay.
I decided I was declaring, talk about intent, into existence a new mainstream. Because I kept talking about it, and then I thought, hello, knocked myself over the head. Why don't I say it? So I wrote a blog called There's a New Mainstream Out There, and you're probably part of it. In the body of it, I call it the consciousness crowd. And I want to tell you, this blog has gone viral because I said after 300 radio and TV and interviews over the past few years, that there's this whole underground narrative going on. And the consciousness crowd needs to come out of the closet. Well, people love this. It's got, I think, as of today, 7.9 thousand likes, 2,300 Facebook shares, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So and it's like creating a field of connection that people are really so much resonating with, and you'll read it. But in the blog, I say it's not a subculture. It's not New Age. It's not liberals. It's not cultural creatives. It's like this. We are the new mainstream. This new consciousness is the new mainstream. So thank you for letting me go over to say that.
Oh no, absolutely. Greatly appreciate it. anything that we're able to. Sorry, Dol, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that we also were able to share that on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Yes.
So it's as we were able to put it up as well. Once we've got it recorded and uploaded, we will also share it, and we just shared it live as well for you as well.
Through our Twitter stream. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, and we greatly appreciate as many avenues as possible that we're able to share with everyone, by which, they may be able to have that aha moment. Everyone resonates to different frequencies, and different words and different means of communicating spark different levels of awareness in others. So the more the merrier. We greatly, greatly appreciate your sharing all of these facets, the free gift, which we definitely highly recommend that you all go out and get ASAP, because as I said, Dianne's book is very thorough. She speaks very clearly and is able to bring forth an understanding of the shifting consciousness that makes it much easier for those who are feeling that it is a big, huge, difficult step to take. She will assist you to see the ease through which you may make this very subtle and yet very huge change in your lives that will bring about much beautiful abundance and abundance, prosperity, and beauty and love. So thank you so very much, Dianne. Thank you to all of our wonderful Earth Angels Divine viewers who have joined us here on our show on our show live. And of course to all of you who are watching the recording, thank you so very much. Please remember, sharing is caring. And we send forth our blessings to each and every one of you. May you find within self the grace of love that you are, and thus emanate such unto all. Blessedly be.
Talking brain, enlightened minds, seeking out truths, seeing the world with the mind of those who see beyond the three-dimensionally. Souls, talking brain, ask the right questions, uncovers the blinds. Souls, talking brain, enlightening minds, oh yeah, seeking out through